special guest that will be talking something special. His name is Dr. Justine Pierre. So he will be coming up just now to talk to us and alert our minds and our spirits. And I hope that we don't say, oh my God, we're going to say that because there is information that we don't know, that we think that we know what's going on next door. We don't know. Especially for me, I walk around with a closed ears. All depends on a lot of things. And I walk around with my eyes closed. So he's going to teach us how to be alert and what to look out for in life and how life works and how it does not work. So I think we're missing 2 more people coming in. So we're not going to wait on them because it's already 2:36. I want to deal with this professional business in a professional way. He is a FBI agent. Big guy. So I want the world to know that we here at Gemfm, the Tex Manwarin show and the crew, we are dealing with a very big guy. So we're going to listen and we're going to ask a lot of questions because we would like to know how to spot hurting people. What do we look for or we don't look for? He's also a consultant. He do a lot of database about human trafficking and domestic violence. So he's into all of that. I asked him, do you touch on Black history? Well, we have something in common. Don't even smile, Veronica. Me and him have something in common. We don't touch that. We'll touch it if it's feasible on our part. But he does not go into it. Hear me? Yes, first person I know, me and him. I wish I know a lot of more people who don't go into that line. So, but what he's going to talk about is something that is in and around us that is so painful. And we wish, when he finishes speak, you're going to say, I wish I know this. So I'm going to give him the stage. Usually when people like him come on, I like to just sit back and let them have the stage so I could learn a lot of things because there's a lot of things that I don't know, but I know about the word of God, so I can speak strong there. So I'm going to let him take the stage, and then when it's our time, he will say, do you have anything to say? And then we'll say, oh yeah, can I talk? Okay, so we're going to turn the mic over right now to Dr. Justin Pierce.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Good, yes. Good. I said my name is Dr. Justin Pierre. I'm a consultant. I'm the director of a company, a Canadian firm by the name of Dunn Pierre Barnett and Company Limited, and we are a research company. In fact, we are one of the maybe the larger research firm. We are a Black-owned management consultancy firm, and we have been operating maybe about over 10 to 12 years. Our company is a little different to most firms in the sense that we have one of the largest database on Black people. So I think that what makes us a bit unique in the sense that we from the Caribbean base, we have most there's something we started building the database since in about 2007. It started off with something called your white pages. So they're in the telephone directory, public information. So we got public information from the white pages, and we start building that database. So anyone, let's say, for example, in the 28 countries in the Caribbean region, if there's a white pages, we'll definitely have some sort of data on you. The yellow pages again, so we'll have data on persons within the yellow pages. So we have we track about 1,700 occupations throughout the region. So we collect data about people of color in over 40 countries now. And since this whole issue of George Floyd came up into being, people started to sort of seek out, started to seek us out. Yes. Yeah. So people started to seek us out, and so what in 2016 we did a very large migration survey, a national skills audit in the Turks and Caicos Island. So therefore we had a really issue with the dealt with the Haitian population. They dealt with migration within the Caribbean region. And so our firm did one of the four of the largest migration, human and migration survey in the Caribbean region. So we have a very, very comprehensive idea of the movement of people within this Caribbean region. So in 2016, we did Turks and Caicos migration survey and the national skills audit. In 2017, we also conducted a very large study with the World Health Organization and the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, on the migration of health workers within the Caribbean region. So from the 28 countries, from as far as Suriname, right up to areas like Belize. Then in 2019, we conducted a survey for CARICOM in regard to human trafficking in the Carrefour region. And in 2020, what we did, we spent about 6 months on the ground in Venezuela, sort of tracking and mapping some of the human trafficking routes within the Caribbean region, and as a result, we sort of bring to light the whole issues about human trafficking in the Caribbean region. And some of the information that we brought out, people were very shocked and very astonished, and because people did not believe that that within the Caribbean region, the Caribbean, for example, had one of the largest brothels in the world, and about 80,000 people are smuggled or moved through the Caribbean region, and there is a active sex trafficking market, trafficking trade within the Caribbean region. So I will stop here, and maybe I can maybe we can also discuss further. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I was sending some information back and forth. You said that you started on the white page database in 2007.
Yes.
Does that mean only and people who was on the white pages then? Because I want to know if you're tracking me.
No. I mean, like we have a database, or an active database on persons who, every country has the telephone directory, the where you live, your phone number, or where you live. So all of that could be plotted. All of the yellow pages, all the businesses, all the occupations. So our main area, in fact, all the data that we collect, actually, it really should be collected by an organization called CARICOM. Okay, because I mean they are the center of the Caribbean. So, however, we just started collecting those database. So we have a lot of, for example, we looking to collect a skills database, because our company is basically a training and consultancy firm. We deal with skills, so we have an idea of the skills. So, for example, the masons, they are the carpenters, the plumbers, they are the 560 skills, the 1,783 professions within the Caribbean region. So we have all of that, who they are, for example. So what a lot of country, what we do for a lot of countries, for example, if you want to find out where all your architects, okay, and sometimes maybe 3-4 keystrokes. Let's say how many Grenadians, for example, between the ages of 35 and 50, who are accountant and living in North America. All of that data can be harvested. So I think that what we're doing is now coming out to be very important, because nobody has such data like that. So, for example, in Canada, we can get how many Black persons are the university, how many Black professors, Black nurses. We can get data from like as far as your postal code.
Okay, so it is very, very comprehensive. And what we're looking to do is to now use that data, hopefully, for research, for to provide information on their Black community, because no one is collecting those type of data. Nobody's collecting the sort of labor market data. So, for example, what's the percentage of Black managers in the financial sector? What's the percentage of Black managers in the health sector or oil sector? Nobody knows. So, but
Mhm.
so a company like us will be able to get that kind of data.
Wow. I find that very intriguing because if somebody is missing, you'll be able to find them, right?
Well, not necessarily. No, I don't know, but I mean, we have a very good because we buy data. We spend about $100,000 a year just buying data. So a lot of the statistics offices in the various countries, all the labor force surveys we have. So every time that there is a labor force surveys within a country, we collect that type of data. All the census, census like as far as 1980, we collect census, so the movement of people. So we normally track these things to sort of provide sort of proper labor market and labor market intelligence to prospective employees, to protect for prospective organizations who will look into get the data. So we also have a very active human trafficking database because our firm was one of the firm who conducted the largest research on human trafficking. So we'll connection with organizations like the UN, the United Nations or Organization of Drugs and Crime and other organizations. So we provide a lot of information to some of the international agencies.
Because I was just going to find out if you guys could track criminals because they could move from one country to the next.
Well, I mean, I think that is for the police, and the CARICOM impasse and all these other agencies, but we sort of concentrate our information, our research into skills, because we wanted to see the whole skills competent, the competence of the Caribbean people, because
Mhm.
we live in Canada. I mean, we live in a racialized society. We live in a place where people judge your competence based on the color of your skin, and we realize that we are competent people in the Caribbean region. We have one of the highest education region in the world. The typical University of the West Indies is one of the universities in the 1.5 percentile of best high quality universities in the world. So it says that most of the universities, so the University of the West Indies in Trinidad, in the Caribbean, is maybe has a better quality than maybe 90% of all the universities in Canada. However, when someone comes from the university in the Caribbean, they are discriminated because of where they're from. So there, so we bring light to the fact that where Black people are, their professions of Black people, what skills they have, where they work, what area they work.
Hmm. That is so nice to know that Big Brother is looking after us.
Well, well,
In the-
well, yeah. It's not necessarily Big Brother. I mean, I wouldn't say that we're Big Brother. We just collect data. That's it. We believe that we want to be our form. We want to have the central depository of data on Black people. That's our goal. To have, if it's not only the Caribbean, but we also extend to South Africa. We're trying to get into Rwanda and some of the East Africa. But we want to make sure that we know who we are. We as a people, we do not necessarily collect data on ourselves. We're one of the few ethnic population that really don't collect data on ourselves. We rely on the government to collect data. In fact, we have been a couple of weeks ago, in our relationship with Statistics Canada. They collect data based on countries and so. But we as a population, we need to collect data on ourselves. How many Jamaicans are here? How many Grenadians or Dominicans? What's which country has the highest manager per population, etc. All of these statistics we need to know. For example, we as a group in Canada, Black people, we have about 1.3 million people as a black population in Canada. We have about 22,000 businesses. So, for example, we as a country, as a society, as an ethnic group in Canada, we have about business to population, business owners to population ratio is about 2.8%. Okay, so you mean that the businesses, so we as a population, we cannot employ our own. Okay, we cannot employ our people. If my daughter and my children leave school, or your daughter and they look for employment, they cannot get employment because we as a people, black people, employ black people. Okay, and since that no one is there to employ us because we do not have enough businesses in our community. So our goal is to have at least 60,000 businesses by the year 2025. So if we do that, if we have, let's say, 60,000 black businesses and each of them employ about, let's say, 5 persons, black people will have one of the greatest opportunity because we could be a society where we have full employment. See, and some of this, but without the data, you cannot make those decisions, and that is what the reason why a company like us was set up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Does anybody have a question before we move on to the other subject? I'll say yes. Okay, so we're
I
gonna.
have a question.
Okay,
I'm
please.
sorry. I have a question. Let me ask you, the reason why you collect this data here, is it because in the business area aspect, is it because it's those people that have the money to engage in such as this? Is that why you target the business areas?
Well, yes. I mean, for my background, I'm a labor statistician. We have been in the field of training. So we thought it was fitting to find information about who we are, or our professions, because we do not know who we are. We do not know how many black professions are there. Okay. For example, so our company, we do a lot of research. We do research all over in the world. So, for example, like 86% of all our revenue come from outside of Canada. So other persons in all different parts of the world use our services. We conduct a lot of labor market surveys, a lot of research. We have done labor market research, employee skills demand surveys, anything to do with data, the calculation of data, because it's a good resource to have us, because we have a lot of more data than most countries have of their own. And that's.
I have one more question for you. Do you service, because I know there's a lot of crime in Nigeria, do you service that area as well?
Well, we in terms of what we do, also a lot of other agencies will also sort of rent data to us, buy data. Someone, for example, may need to do a survey. They may have specific requirement. They will call us. We'll make arrangement to sell whatever data we have on that specific research project that they are doing. So we engage in a lot of universities and other social and nonprofit organizations to provide these data to them. Okay.
I do have a question to ask, if I may. As you gather your data, as it concerns the youths and the jobs and the skills they need to acquire to go into employment or own a business, do you gather data such as that to assist them in college or university?
Yes, we have we collect like labor data, employment data. We also look at sort of gaps, some sort of skills gaps. For example, if you want to be a nurse, or you want to be an electrician, you want to be a carpenter, and there's an assessment that you can do, and you may be at this level. What are the skills you need to be at this level? And then there are courses. We can give you courses to engage, to fill those gaps. But it's not also data. We not addition to data, we also do things like help clients with business plans, management consultancy, strategic management, human resource, etc.
Anybody else?
And how can we access that data? Or do we have privilege as an individual to access some of these data?
Well, I mean, I mean, uh, what we normally do, we write a lot of reports, or
Okay.
we get a lot of reports, and sometimes they are public. However, you have we normally interface with a lot of the larger organizations and organizations who have specific demand. So for example, like now we're doing I leave over the weekend to do a project in St. Lucia. So we go to different countries and engage and use our intelligence to help that country develop.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you for all the questions. I know Joan Walker is here. Okay, she's on. So now I want to talk about phase two into your company. You were talking about human trafficking.
Yes.
Before I go to domestic violence, because that's my touchy part. I want to know, I want to have a better understanding, a better knowledge concerning human trafficking. Where it starts from, how does it work? How do we look? What are the signs should we look for or not look for?
Okay. Well, uh, well, for example, as I mentioned before, like our firm has we in 2019 we conducted a research project. Project was sponsored by the European Union to do an analysis of human trafficking within the Caribbean region. Okay, it was alleged that the Caribbean region had been there was a lot of challenges within the Caribbean region in terms of of um, um, you know trafficking. Okay, and many companies applied for the project, or the other international agencies applied for the project to get a consultancy, and our firm was successful in getting that consultancy. So we first of all we looked at some of the laws, for example, all the human trafficking laws within their region. I think that aspect of that was done by a consultant by the name of Dr. Jason Haynes. And the other aspect of it was done by a compilation of other consultants. So for example, so persons would want to know, people ask you, what's the issue of human trafficking, what is human trafficking, etc. So I will just give maybe just a basic layman on this explanation of the word. So human trafficking is a human rights abuse that exploit vulnerable persons, okay, through the use of force, violence, deception, or coercion for economic gain. So sometimes when we ask, when we say what is when we ask the question of what do you mean vulnerable or vulnerability, okay, I say that a person, from our experience, our experience on the ground, because I think that we have been on the ground, more than most persons, because we have conducted many of this research. So a person can be vulnerable for many reasons, okay? Because in order for you to be trafficked, okay, you must be vulnerable. Okay, so you must be vulnerable, and you could be vulnerable because of your physical or mental state. Okay, how you have issues. You can be vulnerable because of your disability. Somebody can be vulnerable because of their economic position. They may be poor, they may have issues, they can be vulnerable. Somebody can be vulnerable because of their migration status. They may be illegal or irregular in the country. They could be vulnerable. Okay, somebody can be vulnerable because of just being a child or a minor. Okay, somebody can be vulnerable both because of the ethnicity. Okay, and there are many other reasons. In fact, there are 11 areas where somebody can be vulnerable. Okay, so in order for someone to be trafficked, there's an element of vulnerability there. So you must be vulnerable. Okay, for example, there is a process within human trafficking, okay, and there is a what you call there are like three basically three process. The three processes. The first one is what is called the act. The second one is called the means, and the third one is called the purpose. So when I say that when I say they are act, I mean what the person used to traffic you. Either they recruit you, either you're transported, you have it, or received. So either the person is recruited, so that's the act, or transported. Okay. Then we look from the act. We look at something called the means. What are the means? The means is the how. So how the means how you are trafficked. That is either by threat or force, either by abduction, either by deception or fraud, either by abuse. Okay. They also ask another part is called the purpose or the why. So why the person is either through prostitution, forced labor, slavery, servitude, sexual exploitation, debt bondage, forced begging, etc. Okay, so that's basically um, just a simplified way of the issues of human trafficking.
Anybody want to ask a question before I go to the next question?
Um, yeah. Do you, can you reveal on like human trafficking, the countries that that are more uh, vulnerable in the Caribbean, that where a lot of you know trafficking has been taking place from, taking place, and the people that are doing it.
Right. Very good question. Actually,
Hmm.
we conducted a study. Actually, with a part of the study, we conducted a study on the issue of human trafficking within the Caribbean region. So we looked at
Hmm.
at the whole genesis of human trafficking.
Hmm.
Um, the I'll just give you a little synopsis of what
Hmm.
takes place within the Caribbean region. We were on
Yes.
the ground way. So human trafficking is varies in different parts of the region. You have
Hmm.
you okay, for example, uh, in in human trafficking in, let's say, for example, in Jamaica. In
Hmm.
Jamaica, you may have a sole proprietor as a human trafficker, a young a man or two guys, whatever, will traffic a young girl, or you know, in the entertainment industry, either in the North
Hmm.
Coast in the tourist sector. A young
Hmm.
guy, or a young person, an entrepreneur will engage a young boy into forced begging and etc. So that's really sole entrepreneurs in Jamaica. Okay, in Haiti, what we see is that
Hmm.
human trafficking is basically organized, is more or less family oriented, family business.
Hmm.
Uncle, aunt will traffic the niece or the nephew or some children into this whole issue of human trafficking, either through exploitation, and maybe move them, transport them to Bahamas and all these places. Okay,
Hmm.
in Trinidad now, human trafficking is organized. Okay, it's a business. It's like institution.
Hmm.
It's well defined. Okay, there are businesses there. There are international players there. Okay, and also in places like the Dominican Republic. Okay,
Uh-huh.
it is very very structured in terms of it's formed part of the whole infrastructure.
Structure, fabric,
It's
yeah.
part of the, for example, uh, uh, when tourists come,
Hmm.
it's a part of the menu of suite. And, they may prefer, your girls who are under 20, girls without pubic hair, girls, all the different menu, whatever you want. Okay, it you will be able to have it. However, what we have seen from the source of human trafficking, from our research, the source over the last maybe 5 years, the majority came from Venezuela. Okay, because the issue, because of the political and economic situation on Venezuela, these persons are being forced to leave. So they are exploited, trafficked, and throughout the Caribbean region. Okay, and that is the basic scenario within in terms of the whole human trafficking structure, because the human trafficking in the Caribbean, as I mentioned before, when we did a study, we had one of the world's largest brothel. It was situated in the Caribbean. But in addition, we
Really?
found that, yes, so we found about 81 brothels in the region. There were up until 2000, and there were 81 brothels with at least 5 or more persons per stable. A stable is like, if you have like 5, because there were so many that we had a cutoff of 5 persons. So the whole issue of sex within the region, because remember that historically people have used the Caribbean region for these things.
Okay.
Have I want to bring it down to I would like you to bring it down to layman's level.
Yes.
What are the ways? What are the laws? Because that these, we could call them Johns, or those organized, are using to get these people involved. Because I know in Jamaica, I know in Haiti, you understand, I know in certain places it is totally different. But what are the things, if you want to just speak to the layman, what are the ways, what are the things that people are telling you? I know like in Jamaica, some other islands, they will promise you a job in the US.
Yes.
And through that, they have their ways and the means in getting you out from Jamaica to the US, promising you these great, fabulous jobs. And when you get into the US, whatever way, you can be oppressed, you can be enslaved so maybe I want you to bring that down to layman's.
Very good questions. Okay, because for example, in order for you to be trafficked, you must be vulnerable. So you can be vulnerable based on your economic status. So what has happened? In fact, when we had interviewed some persons who were trafficked from Venezuela, they were offered a job in Trinidad. Okay, girls, they were offered a job. We interviewed her in Trinidad. She had no passport, so how could she get to Trinidad from Venezuela without a passport? So sometimes when things appear just too good to be true, we met a woman, and when we interviewed her, she said that she was offered a job to be a manager of a bar. Okay, she never had any experience, but she was offered, and when she left her town, when she left her area, she was exploited. But we also understand that within the Caribbean region, it's a very delicate area, because within the region there are over 7,000 islands in the Caribbean region. Okay, 7,000 islands. It's about 1 million square miles. So it's very hard to govern. There are about 12 sovereign island nations. Okay, there are about 12 independent territories. There's just in Venezuela, there are over 300 islands in Venezuela, over 315 islands in Guyana. Okay, within the region, they lack some of the resources to combat human trafficking, and they have very weak legislation. So, because remember that human trafficking is almost a perfect crime, because only 3.7% of persons who have in the business of human trafficking ever get caught. So it's like a perfect crime. You will never ever get caught, because it is a perfect crime. So one of the reasons why you never get caught, because the apprehension rate is so low. There's such weak laws in their region. Also, what makes it important is that there is what is called Stockholm syndrome and bonding. When you are the victims, the person that you traffic, the person that you raped and you exploit, they would not testify against you. We don't know why. Okay, the girls would just the 99% of the time they will never testify against you. They tend to have a lot of sympathy for their oppressors, for the exploiters.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
You said the crime is so perfect. But
Yes.
if they're going to places like brothel, isn't there a list of who come in and who don't come in? Isn't there something that somebody can call the police because they see something going on?
Yeah, but I mean, it is. So, for example, what we have found, okay, we have interviewed persons what happens to persons from North America, from mainly white male,
It's nasty.
would come from leave North America or Canada, Europe, come to the Caribbean because obviously they cannot molest children in their country. Can So because it's a crime, they will come to the Caribbean. They will have the exploit. Normally, they will come in around Thursday night, between Thursday and Friday. They leave on either Sunday or Monday. They come for these 4 days, and they will get everything that they want. Any type of child, any menu they want, they will have it in advance. One child, two children. I mean, it doesn't really matter because remember the average age of someone who's trafficked for sex is the age of 13. So the person innocent, because you also have to realize is that there are certain belief system. Okay, the belief system.
No.
The whole
The age is, hold on, the age is
Just
13.
yes, 113.
Okay, okay, we got it.
13
Okay.
years. So
Okay.
I've interviewed persons who were bonded about 3 or 4 times. Sometimes you ask why can someone leave? Why would you leave? I mean, if the guy exploited, why would you leave? Why can't you just pick up and leave? It's easy, isn't it? Why would you pick? But the bondage, the trauma it's so detrimental. It's so strong. Okay, for example, we met this girl. She had some problem with her mom, and
Mhm.
young girl, good, nice A student, young girl. She left her mom. She went to the road. She had some problem with the mom, so the mom took her phone, went outside the phone, crying or get upset. Someone met her and said, "No, when you're upset, whatever," and the guy just talked to her, just gradually. Why your mom would do so bad to you to take away your phone? Here is a phone. He gave her a phone. Vulnerable. He gave her a phone. Then they start talking. They end up, he ended up liking her. But obviously, the young girl, she got, had sex with her. And the next day, she said that they woke up the night, in the morning, and then he went outside and they had sex again. And then while they were having sex, one of his friends came in, and if she obviously a young girl, she's shocked, she's surprised. He said, "Don't worry about that. He's a friend." Then he had sex with her, and then within a space of, let's say, the rest of the day, about 15 guys had sex with her. And she said, what happened after that? She just got numb. She just got numb. She just had no feelings, and for about 6 or 7 months, she just had been. They were in a hotel. They brought men, and just used, and just this was a cycle.
I have a question.
Hello.
Yeah, and I have a question after.
Sure.
No, okay. What um uh, the guy? Do you think
Yes.
he was like a pimp, and he was charging those people that was coming because charge his friends that were coming? He was collecting money, you know, from them to use, you know, the girl, which becomes his property.
Well, yes. I mean, yeah, it's a cycle. Okay, because, for example, there's a process. Okay, there's a process how you go from a normal A student to
Mhm.
traffic child. Okay, for sex. It's a simple process. It takes about 15 days. Okay, from
Mhm.
grooming you to
Mhm.
for perpetration. So it's all cycled. In fact, I there was a guy when we were in Trinidad, we interviewed one of the guys, and he said that he was very confident. He said they will never leave. He said he could tell her to go to well, he was in San Fran, to go to a place to leave. He's just to quote him, to leave from
Mhm.
from Port of Spain to send her in San Fernando to stay 2 days with a guy. And she will stay the 2 days with a guy. The guy will give her the money. She will bring all the money to him. Wouldn't take a
Yes.
cent
Excuse,
and
all
come
I could
before
do-
9 o'clock.
Just a minute.
excuse, I'm from Trinidad, and I could tell you all firsthand that the Venezuelans and them who come across to our country, they have a group. When they come across, they allow their children and their people to do these things. They have an organization, and if they want to sell the kids, they do sell the kids. Our kids that's been missing here in Trinidad, and nobody doesn't want to look for them.
Yeah.
So,
Which part I am in South Trinidad here, it have a lot of Venezuelan who coming in illegal. We had a situation about 3 days ago where the Coast Guard had shoot down a vessel coming into Trinidad, and a young child has lost their life. And right now it is a whole scandal right now going on in Trinidad because the Venezuelans and them leaving their country to come across here for betterment. And when they come over here for betterment, they turned into prostitution. Most of these people and most of these people and them like they were doctors and nurses. They're doing low class jobs right now in Trinidad. We are so overpopulated with a Venezuelan. It's like a Venezuelan to every house in Trinidad. And who choose to take them in? We are so we had to say here's little Venezuelan because the amount we have here, and they will sell their children. I literally was living 2 houses away where about 20 something and them in a 3-bedroom house. One of my neighbors rent out his whole house to them, and they will friend with the neighborhood, everybody in the neighborhood. And they have kids, and their kids see what they are doing, and they are following the trade just to survive.
Yes. So that this is very important because the economic and political situation in Venezuela has caused almost like a humanitarian crisis. So something has to happen. The embargo on Venezuela, or I mean, I'm not a politician, anything like that, but it has to stop, okay? Because if we do not continue, this will affect the Caribbean region. It will have such great impact on the Caribbean region so that it has a potential to destabilize the region. And that is some of the concerns leaders of the region should really undertake, because the human trafficking and smuggling industry is quickly becoming one of the fastest growing industry in the region, especially in the territories of Venezuela, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. The industry employs right now about 176,000 persons, okay, impacting about 11 economic sectors, okay? It's directly impacting the countries of Venezuela, Trinidad, and Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago are the epicenter for human trafficking. Haiti and Venezuela is the epicenter of migrant smuggling, okay? Because in addition to the human trafficking, you also have migrant smuggling. Because what in one of our studies, what we found out that a lot of ex-regional migrants come into the Caribbean, and they transit into the Caribbean on the way up to the United States. Okay, some of the favorite destination is United States, Canada, Chile, and French Guiana. So it is a crisis. Okay, it is crisis. Okay, so for example, something has to be done, and that's the reason why we're having these sort of interviews here.
What are the different kind of professionals that is involved in that?
Well, for example, one of the I think we coming out with one of our papers. What we found out is that we were trying to develop a profile of a human trafficker. Okay. And from our experience, we found, because we interviewed them, we interviewed about 331 or 42 of them. What we found out is that most of them are similar regular persons, regular jobs. Okay, regular jobs. Okay, most of them have no criminal record. Okay, so for example, law enforcement may be looking at the wrong persons, simple, normal people. Okay, and that is one of the greatest challenge. There isn't enough data to properly um, profile some of these traffickers.
So, so we're basically looking at a businessman that don't have no record will start this thing.
Beg your pardon?
Are we saying then people who have business and they don't have no criminal record, they can go into that and they will not be caught because of their record is clean?
Well, not exactly. But what we're seeing is that the people who are in the business of because trafficking is obviously it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. It's very profitable.
Yeah. Okay? Profitable, yes.
It's in great demand.
Mm-hmm.
It is in great demand.
Mm-hmm.
Sex in the region is in high demand, and so it's a part of human nature. So we interviewed a guy who was a trafficker. Why you did it? He said if he didn't do it, somebody else will do it. Okay, so it is in because in demand, but the challenge we have to look at is the supply.
Right.
Yeah, the supply and the demand. We have to cut the demand. We have to go to the Johns and tell the Johns, why do you purchase sex from these people? And that's the big challenge. Okay, that's the big $1 million question. We're not asking. We are blaming the traffickers. Yes, the traffickers are bad, but what is happening is the demand for it. Okay,
we have to. I heard you talk last week, and you hit something that kind of troubled my spirit. You said pastors is into that too.
Well, yeah. Well, yes, we have from our data, we have identified about 6 persons. Well, I talked about in terms of domestic violence, abuse. We have identified about 6 category of persons. I'm not saying all of those persons are, but for example, who abuse children, who have issues really with regard to domestic abuse and child abuse trafficking. Persons are from all the data, okay? Because what from all the data, so you have like bus conductors, bus drivers, we have taxi persons, we have persons who are in a position of care. We have persons like pastors, religious persons. We have police officers sometimes, okay, and we also have fishermen. Okay, so I mean, from the data, okay. So for example, I think the Jamaican government, Jamaica had a guy was arrested and charged for human trafficking, and he went up to the High Court, and and it was a fisherman. So I mean, these are some of all the data in terms of prosecutions and stuff. We're not saying that all pastors or police officers.
I know.
But yes.
Yeah, you can't say all because all is a blanket statement.
Right.
I just want to turn on for somebody else to come on. Sure. Minister Antoine.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for such great information that you're giving us today to help us and in our community and everybody else. I just want to look at one area. Is the tourist industry, is that area that is, I'm just saying it to say because you're tourist industry, people coming in and out of the countries and all that, does that have an effect on for them to know what's going on also? Because they're connected to the government. So how are they helping in this area as it connected to the government?
Okay, good. Well, in terms of persons who work within the tourism sector, I guess that's what we are going on a campaign to sort of publicize this, to bring awareness to this.
Yes.
So we believe that we know, for example, that tourists come to the region for different reasons. They come for sea and sun and sand, and some of them come for sex. Okay, and what we have to, we just have to inform them. We have to publicize it. We have to tell them that to encourage them to not to do these things, to reduce the demand for that, because we see that because they cannot do it in their country, because they have that on average, from the people who are engaged in, from who purchase sex, okay, for minors, stay on average less than 5 days in a country. Either they come on the Thursday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They may leave Sunday night or Monday. So on average, they will spend, because we had the question, we asked them, how long do you normally spend in the country? Most of them, over 66%, said that the less than 5 days. So so we have a group of people who, I mean, from the data, so we can target these people, okay, monitor them, or just inform them, hey, this is a crime, this is a crime, this is a crime, please avoid it, we watching, and just stop it. I mean, it may not stop now, but over time, yes. So we have to inform the people. We have to tell people. Certain countries, like let's say Guyana and Antigua, for example, Jamaica, have in the airport brochures about human trafficking and how to stop in Trinidad. Again, a lot of the countries are now trying to now do something to educate people about the issues in regard to human trafficking.
Minister Evangelist Joan, do you have a question? I can't hear you. You have to unmute.
Sorry. Yes, thank you very much. I think he has answered my question. I was going to ask, where is the highest rate of trafficking? So he gave us a little views there, because I wanted to know, because he's right on target, about some of these issues with them, because I have girls who have been there also, and gave me a little bit of how they got out. So thank you very much, Dr. Justin Pear. We appreciate it. And thank you, Sister Tex, for the invite.
Thank you very, very much. As I said, we one of the, in 2020, we went on the ground. We looked at the routes. We examined the trafficking routes. We looked at there were about three. Well, if I'm using it loosely now. There were about 341 trafficking and smuggling routes within the Caribbean region. Okay. And these routes are somehow known to the traffickers. So when we went to Venezuela, we mapped out about 41 of the most popular routes. And so we interviewed persons along the routes. We interviewed the traffickers along the routes, where they go, what are the modus operandi, okay, all of that. It was very, very informative. So that's what we were able to know. And for example, people always ask us, okay, how we managed to interview and to get in contact with the traffickers. How did you get in contact with the traffickers? And it was just by accident, okay? As a researcher, whenever we go to countries, we do a lot of studies and research in countries. Whenever we go to a country, whenever we study or go to do a research in a country, the first thing we will do as an organization is to have an interview with the church. Every organization, every country we go to the church, because the church has the largest cross-section of people within the society. You have the rich people, you have poor, we have all different types of persons in the church, the smaller churches, the larger churches. So we go to the pastors or the priests or whatever and say, hey, we're here to do a study. We would like to speak to a few of your members. The church gave us the opportunity. Then in the case in Trinidad, we went to a church. We interviewed someone, about this whole issue of human trafficking. If anybody heard about it, the lady said, well, in her past life, she did some of that. I said, do you know of any friends or any person who in it? She gave me someone. She told me someone. I interviewed that person. That person, do you know of anyone? Then she gave me someone, and then eventually within about a week, 2 weeks, we had about 29 persons that we were able to incentivize, and we gave them data, cell phone or whatever, to take over the next 3 weeks, 6 weeks to 3 months, all the places they went, all the places they had sex within Trinidad and Tobago. And we got a total about 279 places. So sex in the region is very, I mean, it's, prostitution. It's, it's industry. It's part of the industry.
So just as how your company is doing the research, how come the government still their eyes are closed towards the situation? Is it because that they don't have a law against minors, or is it because they don't care?
Well, no, I think the government, most of the governments care. I think I've spoken to some of the persons, the leadership. Most people are there, they care. But I think that what has happened is that it's just resources. The government, most government do not have the resources to combat trafficking, and the project that we, these projects are not cheap. I mean, the project that we did a project that was sponsored by the European Union. Okay, if the European Union did not sponsor the project, we would have never known the situation of human trafficking in the Caribbean region. And I think that is as I said, we have to thank the European Union, but you also have to thank the United States government. Okay, the United States government has been one in the vanguard of putting pressure on regions to step up with the human trafficking laws and the laws against violence against women, et cetera, et cetera. And we also have to thank the U.S. Embassy around the regions and the world for that. I mean, every year the U.S. Embassy has produced what is called the Human Trafficking Report, and it has put every country in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and despite the report having lots of some flaws in it, but it still provides a general guideline of what takes place within their report. And normally what we do is that every year when the report comes out, we will take 10 countries at random and call up the persons in the trafficking area and ask them, whatever their report said, we'll ask them about it. And sometimes some of the cases, the things that is written that's not really, it's not compatible. But in general, the report gives a good guidelines about what is taking place.
I know one of our hosts here on the Monday show, she got arrested because she was stepping on some of the important people's feet. So because of that, they find a way of arresting her. I know she's back in the US, I think. So what I'm putting together in my mind, this thing is not as simple as it is, and it's a very dangerous ground to tread, because some people have lost their life over it. They tried to get, they were able to get a 1-year-old child out of human trafficking. A 1-year-old child.
Yep. It's listen. The stories are some of the stories you just cannot make them up. Okay, they're so strange, they're so bizarre that you cannot make them up. For example, persons have certain superstition. Okay, I'm not a psychologist, but from one of the psychologists on the project, he was saying that why persons purchase sex, or it has to do with some of the initial sexual experiences. Okay, when they were young. Some people believe that if they have, I mean, we're adults here, of course, but if they have sex with a virgin, maybe they'll have riches, they'll get famous, they'll do well in business, all type of superstition, and they generally believe it. So one of the best experience, the best explanation I've heard is that some persons get their jollies from having intercourse with minors who cannot give consent. Imagine you cannot give a consent, a minor cannot give consent, and that brings joy to you. So we have people within the community with a lot of psychological issues, and as a result, human trafficking is there, and the challenge is that we have to work on the demand, okay? Because the demand, we have to work on reducing the demand, the buyer's demand for our sex.
Before I go to the next question, is anybody else want to ask a question before I go to another question? Pastor Fleming, unmute.
Yeah. He's I mean he has done the studies and it's 100% accurate. There is a in the psychology, even in religion, if you study Islam, if you study Judaism, and if you study some parts of Christianity, it is in the psychology of these religion that the practice of having intercourse with minor, it's I can go down in Hebrew, Judaism and tell this isn't a basic doctrine. In Islam is a basic doctrine too. Men want to marry in Islam, they might tell you marry a virgin. He said, I mean, the men are 13, sometimes 8 year old. Some of it is custom. It's in the custom and fabric of the society. And that's why we get a lot of these crimes and sin form, pedophilia. You understand? A lot of these people are pedophiles. And as he's saying that you can go to a lot of these Caribbean countries, especially Dominican Republic. As you land in the airport or going to any, even in the hotel, you'll be offered that as a menu. The age. You see, we are here, we don't know. You go to Indochina, you go to some of these Chinese places.
Yeah.
As soon as you go, you understand. So even in some of the religions, some of the rabbis, the pastors, it is something that when you're dealing with a virgin, to take a virginity from, I mean, I just want to use some boundaries, but this is where a lot of these things are stemming from. And it's not just sex. Now, if you need a maid, like if you have sometimes among the Indian, they want a servant. They can traffic you into certain parts of the world, and you think you're going to get a great job. Next thing you end up in somebody's home that is 15 bedrooms. And you work from 5 in the morning until 3 the next morning. You cannot come out. You're not allowing. You're cooking. You're doing everything, and I mean. That's the reality out there. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna turn and Pastor, you finish?
Yes, I'm finished.
I think Pastor Antoine wanted to say something.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to just ask you one. I'm listening to all this, but I'm just going to find out. I'm asking you, where is the economic of the country financially? It doesn't sound like the government is gaining any finance out of anything.
Oh, they're good.
I'm just asking for clarity here, because it sounds like they've brought us here and there, and it's in the country. But how is it affecting the economy of the country financially? The government is concerned. So as we talk about laws, as when the laws are not very tight and need to be changed, how is it affecting the government? Because I mean, families are being destroyed, children are being exploited, and all these different things. Where the economic of the country is concerned, where this is.
Well, that's a very good question. Okay, from what we have seen, okay, I'm just talking from the extreme cases. So let's say we someone who is a multimillionaire, lives in the United States, come to maybe the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, whatever country, Dominican Republic, said that he wants 3 different sets of girls every night within under 12. Okay, he paid $20,000 a night, $15,000 a night for the hotel for every day. And what happens is that he gets what he wants. If he spends $20,000 a night in the country, that is for 4 nights, that's $80,000. Where do you think that money goes to? That money stays in the country. So that could be so the whole the underground economy, money laundering, all of these are sort of extension of human trafficking and human smuggling. I remember that human smuggling trafficking, it does not come by itself. It's a marriage. It comes with the trafficking of guns, the trafficking of guns for drugs, the government, guns, drugs for food, drugs, guns for food, for pornography, for rice, the rice of the smuggling of rice and milk and flour, all of that, okay, for drugs. So it is very, very common within the region. And because we don't have a proper border control, okay, because 80% of all the smuggling and trafficking comes through the sea, okay, it has a direct impact on the economy, and that's why it's something that has to be addressed. It has to be addressed immediately, because if it's not addressed, what will happen is that it will destabilize the country. The whole issue of oil and petrol. So within the region now, there are a lot of there is a black market for petrol, so people can buy petrol on the high seas. So most of the fishermen, the whole issue with drugs in the Caribbean region. Okay, so the Caribbean is now. Yes.
Is boys susceptible as girls?
Oh yes, actually, yeah. Boys are actually in the from the UNODC data. I think there is just 1 second. And with the UNSC data, boys there's an increase in about 500% increase from 2004 to 2018 for sex trafficking. Yes,
Jesus.
It's crazy out there. Okay, I mean, in certain countries, you can spend. I mean, I wouldn't call the name or anything, but you can spend, let's say, $20,000, $15,000, give you access to a virgin. You can, that's a business. You can have sex with a virgin.
God.
Because
Can
it's
I
a
say
demand.
one thing?
It's a demand. It's in demand.
Veronica, you're next. After Dr. Pierce finish, yeah? You can ask. Dr. Pierce, are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. We as the public, where can we look for these incidents? I know you talk about brothels. Are these things taking place in hotels? And especially women of color, how can we identify these people and these situations that's going on, so that if we do see something going on, that we can report it? And is there a number that we should report it to? Because I've been told that a lot of these things happen in the airport, or I just need to know, like, where else should we be looking?
Right. Well, for example, these things happen in plain sight. Okay. Most persons, and that's one of the reasons why we need to have more of these conversations, is something that you have to be aware of. So, for example, I mean, most countries will have what you can call 911. Most countries do have a human trafficking hotline. In every country within the region, I think there is or in North America, North America, there's a human trafficking hotline or a 911. You could call. So, but the trick is the idea of just looking at them. So sometimes you may see a person who may not have a voice, maybe. Some person may just be not in the wrong place. A person may maybe work long hours. A person may just be not kept, etc. I mean, there are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of, like 20 something indicators that But if you Google, you're able to get enough.
How do we identify the men? How do we identify the men? Because I think it's easy. We see children all the time. We don't know exactly what's going on with the children, but we can see the men because we're mostly eye to eye with adults, and we can see Do they have a certain physical feature? Are they hanging out in certain areas? Or like, we just need to know.
Right. Well, I mean, it is, and that is what we are trying to do now. So we're now, I think maybe within like maybe by April, we are coming out with a new report. We are conducting, because we did a study, and now we're looking at human trafficking from the predatory perspective. Why would a predator, what will a predator do? All the characteristics of a human predator, because people do not know. Does he traffic women based on a certain type of age range, skin color, whatever? I mean, all the details, okay? Because we have conducted so much study, and we have interviewed many of them, so we got a good first-hand knowledge of who they are and what their profile is. So we'll be coming out with a report on that very soon.
Can I ask a
Evangelist Joan,
question?
just a minute. Evangelist Joan, your hand is raised.
Yes, my question is close to Sister Veronica. How can you tell if someone is being trafficked?
Well,
How can
there are a lot of reasons. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Person, well, first of all, the whole issue of vulnerability, the whole issue of, for example, it might be difficult to see, to know if someone is trafficked. Okay, but there are certain hunches that you have. There are certain indicators. Maybe somebody maybe being be may do not have in a it not they someone else has control over them. They may, for example, somebody may be working in a place long hours. They may not have handled in there. They may not have control of the paycheck. They may have control of the basic rights. And I said that there are many. I mean, I cannot go into all of them, but if you Google them, it will give you most of the information.
Mr. Allison?
I just want to say, humans, body parts and organs, that is part of trafficking as well, because we have a lot of that happening in Trinidad, that are taking young people and harvesting their organs. We have a few of that crime going on here in Trinidad.
Okay, then. Well, yes, I mean, it's a part of the whole issue of human trafficking, has to do with, the removal of body parts. Because remember that even though this is not the whole that does not form a large part of the study, because we didn't have a lot of experience in it. So I'm not able to speak a lot about that. I can only know of secondhand information but I would not be able to speak about that, because I don't know enough to make a scientific to give a scientific explanation.
Doris?
Well, a lot of the things that is being talked about, I know a little bit about it. I've had experience with children who've been through that. But most studies, human trafficking is a multi-million-dollar business. The people involved in it are very hard to keep track of, because they move from place to place. And they have connections. Even the children, when they get arrested, as soon as they get out, they let them know that the police is after them. So they always one step ahead. And they move from place to place. And most time they pick these girls up off the streets, and they have them in a special, referring to what Veronica says, they keep them all in a special place, in a home. And when they have to take them out where they need them to go, meet the men or whatever, they take them from the house and, bring them there. But there is undercover, they have a special undercover unit that does specifically walk in the areas to try to catch those people. But the majority of times, they always move before they get to them. And no matter how hard you try to get the kids, that, well, I deal with children, so I can say kids, they will not speak. There was one child that I spoke to for about an hour, trying to get her to tell me who the man was that was trafficking them. And she would not give that man up for nothing. All she talks about is how much he care about her, he loves her, and making an excuse for what he's doing. And so don't matter what you do, that's one of the most difficult things to do is catch up with them. And like I say, most of them, they don't even know who they work for. They are just in between, taking orders on the telephone and carrying out the job and get paid. They don't even know the person that they work for. The bigger people that doing the business, these are the small people just out there carrying out the job. So they, even though they get caught, they could never tell the police who they're working for, who the organization is, because they do not know.
Yes, this is a very, very important feature. What we see from what Miss Doris Charles said, and from our experience in Venezuela, what we did is that we got so we know that, for example, there were about 6,000 persons traveled or trafficked or smuggled from Venezuela to Trinidad in about 5 years. So we were able to get some of the manifesto from some of their boats. So there were about 38 boats that were involved in the smuggling of or traffic of persons from Venezuela to Trinidad. And what we found, so when we interviewed one of the boat captains, or one of the boat captains, he did not know. All he knew that someone was supposed to drop some women, from girls to him. He did not know the person, and that person who brought the woman did not know the other person who brought the woman. So the hierarchy is very defined. People just do not know, just know that they have to do a job, and they do the job, but they do not know the person. In fact, one of the persons who were trafficked from Trinidad, we found out that her school teacher, her gym teacher, was the one who trafficked her.
My goodness.
So anyone can be trafficked by anybody. It's just for the money. You see, the money, because it's in demand. You see, it's a new industry within the Caribbean. It's a new industry.
Sheriff, the next question coming from Sheriff.
You on mute? Please unmute.
You're still muted.
Please unmute.
John, you have to unmute.
Yeah. All right. I'm on mute.
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Pierre. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Great. Nice program text. Good. Someone asked a question a while ago. How do you identify someone who's being trafficked? And I say this to say to young ladies, I heard it earlier on about being offered jobs and so on. One of the things that often happens when you get trafficked, the person on the plane, once you clear immigration, they want your passport and they want your cell phone, you have one. Yeah. So that's the one indicator at the airport wants to the person that being trafficked to identify themselves as a trafficker being trafficked by the perpetrators. The other thing, if you see a bunch of girls coming from one building, all of a sudden with a dark color van or just a plain van, 4, 5 girls, 6 girls, every time that house, people moving back and forth, you know that there is a place where people being trafficked. And quite often, the girls are being trafficked by local people. And earlier on in the study, we noticed that businessmen, preachers, teachers, doctors, people who without any prior criminal record, those are the people who are deeply involved in the business because nobody identifying them. They're nice, they're cream, they're proper, right? You won't go after the person who always committing crime on the street. Yeah, they have criminal records. So the people who do not have criminal records, those professional people, These are the people who are really involved in the business. And like Dr. Pierre said before, you see it as trafficking. The people are running a service.
Yes.
They are service providers, you know? So that's what they do. So we have to be very careful about our young children being, again, in telephone conversation with young men online. I think Dr. Pierre and I spoke about that last Friday night. Your daughter could be speaking to a guy online who she never met. That's his girlfriend, and they start dating, start saying her flowers, saying her chocolate. Then they get to meet in the hotel, and then he leaves her, say, I'll be back, and then his friend comes in, and he rape her, then the other friend comes in, and he rape her again, and the cycle goes on. And it happens to a lot of people. So it's important to monitor your children phone conversation. It might be like thinking about helicoptering, but who their friends are, where they're going, and who the people that they're going at. Because somebody in the house might be a trafficker, you know? So you have to look for those things. Yeah?
You share it.
So text back to you.
Thank you. Veronica. Unmute.
I have one more question. When we identify a child that might be trafficked, is there something that we should say or do we just call 911? Because by that time the person may have gone, or, you know, I mean, what can we do immediately to be able to put that child into safety? And the reason why I asked that is because one night I recall being in Walmart and I saw a young girl, and, you know, I said, something is not right about this situation here. But, you know, it's like I looked at her and I looked in her eyes and she just didn't seem right. But I kept going. I dismissed the situation, but I don't ever want that to ever happen again, that, you know, I can see a situation and dismiss it. What can we do immediately to get this child to safety?
Okay, very, very good question. If I was in your position, what I will do, I will always call as, I mean, you have to call the police, the authorities, okay, the hotline, and just tell them about your suspicion. You know, you may be wrong 9 times out of 10, but sometimes you might be right in this one situation, and that one situation you may save someone. And it is important that we start reporting more of these things, because it goes wrong. I said it happens in plain sight. It happens. No one's, you know, people, you know, is what, you know, what would maybe a 16-year-old guy doing with a 45-year-old man? You know, I mean, you know, no, nothing. You know, there is a gut. You as an adult, you see your gut feeling. There's something that does not feel right. I think your spirit, you know, in my opinion, is one of the pastors told me. Sometimes I met someone who saved a woman, and I had to interview him. He said, "What did you do?" He said, "You know, so it's just my spirit told me that wasn't wrong. That was something was wrong. It just doesn't." When she was untidy. She had you know, she had very little clothes on. She seemed as though she was on drugs. She was not herself. And the guy had too much of control over her. And he called the police. He said, you know, hey, I saw this person maybe. And then the police came. And when the police interviewed him, you know, and she started to run. And then the police, and then eventually, but she still said that, you know, this guy is a good guy to her. You know, she loves him. You know, we always see that throughout the whole issue of human trafficking. They do not want to you know, squeal, or do they want to speak ill about their oppressors.
This is such a broad topic. You can just keep going on and on and on. Very interesting.
So I have a question. Let's what Veronica just said. You're in the supermarket and you suspect that person might be, you know, in some kind of problem. do you think it's a good idea? Just act normal, but just find yourself close to them, say hi, to the person, say maybe what a beautiful child. Just make small talk and see how that child or see how that person will act. Then you could have a really good idea that there is something really, really wrong. And then you just walk away and call the authorities and tell them you're suspicious. Because if you're talking to that child and the child's still timid or afraid or keep looking at that person, or that man is trying to get away, or whoever it is, that's also might be a sign that that child is just being trafficked or being held against their will.
Yeah, I think that's a yeah. I would not advise someone to intercept or that person, okay? Because sometimes you may see someone who as I said, somebody who is if someone. Oh, sorry, Miss Antoine.
I just
Mr.
want to
Antoine?
ask, yes, I just want to ask a question. This information is on a platform such as this, which we thank God that it's going to spread and others going to hear. But in our local churches, how do we get this information out to pastors, so that they can also aware of, so we can, as a body, be more aware of what's going on, because we are part of society. So therefore, let's get us involved so that we can also be alert and be aware of this relevant information to impact others and to help the church as well with those who need help in the church. And we may not aware if they need help. How do we go about this, bring this awareness to our local congregation?
Very good question. Now, one of the things I will do is to have more of these sessions. We maybe have a webinar with the men's group or the women's group or the children's group or the whole church, as many persons as possible, because it is important to have these things. Because as church community, sometimes we live in a little vacuum. We are impervious to the world. We don't know anything how it happened. But these things go on, and they go on every day, and so we have to be aware of it. So I think that having webinars, having discussions in the church, have a topic about it, just discuss it, just bring it more and more to the forefront. Because over the last 3 to 4 years, we have been interviewed with because when we broke the story about the whole issue about human trap, the brothels in the Caribbean, okay, and people were not, nobody did not know about that, okay, but so it's just so a lot of the newscaster, the CNN and the BBC and all of the radios, the international media came and interviews and stuff. But you just have to know, the more you say it, the more people are aware of it. And if today one person is aware, at least we have accomplished one of our goals.
Okay, so right now I'm setting up an appointment for you with the community and the church.
Yes. You have to inform the church. You have to inform the people, because the knowledge. Okay, knowledge. You have to have the knowledge to be aware. You have to, in spirit and in truth. You have to know what is going on there. You have to know what's there, and that's the reason why we come on this show, to educate people, because it's not good. It's no use to have the study there and only the authorities know the study. We have to share it, to the common people. So for example, if you see someone who is working excessive long hours, okay, I mean, you go home in the evening, the person is still working. You must say, you think that something is wrong. If somebody may be living in the place of employment, you said maybe that could be an indication of something is wrong. Okay, you may have somebody have poor physical or dental health, to give you an indication that something is wrong. Okay, normal, a lot of persons who are trafficked have tattoos. Okay, this is a part of the bonding ritual. Lots of tattoos on them. I'm not saying that everybody who's a tattoo is trafficked, but some of these things you will have to look at. Okay, some people who may have some people who some small children living and working in restaurants, working in restaurants, these things as all signs that something is definitely wrong. Okay, so people who are not allowed to go into public alone, people don't have freedom. So there are signs, and sometimes your gut will tell you. Okay, people who appear malnourished. Okay, people who show signs of physical abuse, that's a sign. Because remember that, and also a lot of the persons who are trafficked especially in North America, are Aboriginal and people of color. Okay, because remember that prostitution is one of the most dangerous employment in the world, because over 57% of prostitutes die or get murdered before the age of 32 years. It came from a Harvard study. So so we have to get these people out. We have to save these people.
Does human trafficking, does it affect the economy?
Yes, it has an effect on the economy, because it affects the whole issue with health. It can affect the whole health sector. It can it could bring a kind of bad name on the country. Yes, it has a lot of impact. Yes, more negative than positive impact.
Okay.
Pastor Fleming?
I've listened to a lot of and seen a lot of videos on that topic, and it's a shame to say that these things are going on among governments, ministers, countries throughout the world. It's a shame. If you go on YouTube and you Google, there's a lot of videos on it, a lot of discovery on what is taking place. And as he said, by churches, pastors. I think here in America, they just, I think it's some in Ohio, they convict about 5 pastors human trafficking right here in America, not too long, maybe a little earlier, later last year. It's a shame.
Conscience, man. Where's your conscience? Doesn't that work?
There's none.
Yeah. Well, you remember that I know there was a story where church pastor had invited some of the missionaries to come to the States, and he trafficked them because he had used them to work in his place.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's right now it's something that has been okay. If you look at, I don't know if you know about this, what take place with a lot of these rich communities, boats, a lot of these rich men, that's what they do, with younger girls. It's a shame. It's a shame, and you don't want to go out there and speak too much, because a lot of police involved, or you say pastors, police, because in a lot of cases, a lot of these police, the money that they are making, through the employment, and they can do a whole lot more, by whether it be trafficking, whether it be drugs, a lot of, it's just crime and corruption. Just should I say, just taking over the whole plateau, the whole society. We are in the church, and I think we are sheltered and covered. We are not exposed to a lot of these things. But when you begin to expand your knowledge on what is taking place throughout the world, all over, it's not just here; it's also in Africa. Africa have a lot of traffickers going to Europe right now. Some of them they are not even making it. That's why the U.S. government passed a law that if you leave America to go anywhere in the world to have sex with a minor, you will be prosecuted here in America.
Yes, and this what should happen, not only in America but in Canada, but in England, in every European country, because what we see is that white men,
yes, rich,
white men have this between the ages of 40 and above, okay, The older they are, the more challenging challenges they have. So white men, we see that in terms of the profile, okay, these white men have this tendency to prey on young children, maybe in
Young
historical.
lecture, yes,
I think
yes,
historically,
yes.
I mean, they have experienced, I mean, through slavery. But what one of the psychologists was saying that maybe these things are hereditary. It runs from generation to generation, and since for 400 years this has been perpetrated on people of color. We see that now the society is more organized. You see that they still continue to do it, even though it's illegal. But to some, as you were saying, that some genes, I don't know, but we want to find, we do not know why white men have this propensity to prey on young women, okay, on innocent women. So I mean, that's something that I'm not a psychologist, but something that maybe someone else. It's another research.
Minister Antoine,
Yes.
then Veronica.
Yeah, Dr. Pear, I'm looking at the healthcare system because many of them may have come into for medical care. I'm just looking at in that area. So are they aware of this ongoing trafficking to these individuals coming for health reason? And are they sending these information or the data information gathered to somewhere, to the government or to some bodies within the government, so they can also be alert of what's taking place within the country?
Right. And this is a very, and that's the reason why we should have these things here. These are very good questions, because what is happening, the whole society has to get involved. So that's why the data is so important. So if a nurse or a doctor or someone in school sees any of these signs, they should be able to report it. Okay, so if a doctor is treating someone for, let's say, an STD or abuse, and the person see the telltale signs, that doctor should be able to report that incident to authorities. Authorities investigate. So it's an ecosystem. We all have to be involved.
Veronica.
I know in many cases with domestic violence, whether you press charges on that person or not that's being abused, or the abuser, the state take on the responsibility of bringing that poor person, pressing charges against that person or charging that person and bringing in the court. Do they do the same thing with the sex trafficking? Like, even if you're accused of it, then you at least have to be called in for questioning, to just and do a background on that person just to see what comes of the case, the situation.
Yeah.
Is it mandated by law?
Well, in not all countries, but in most countries. I know in Jamaica now, and some of the other Caribbean countries, in Canada and the United States. But these laws should apply. The law should be stronger, okay? And because what we've seen, so what we have been seeing that in some countries, if you cannot be prosecuted if you're for a crime in your country if it's committed outside the country, and that should change. Okay, in every country, if this is done in every European country, okay, every America, Canada, England, Germany. I mean, the greatest consumer of trafficked persons. If you have these laws as what you have in America, I mean, I think that it could people would be more aware and second guess why they go on vacation. Because when they go on vacation, because they cannot do it in their country, they do it in another person's country.
Dr. Pierce, I want to ask you a question. Would you be available on a morning program? Because I will able to set up an African, European kind of, bring people from that end of the world, so we can have a segment in the mornings.
Okay, well, you have to maybe give me a couple of days in advance. I think that I will be traveling next week. We have an external assignment. However, just give me a few. If you give me some, if
Some weeks?
you so maybe give me a few days, I'll make arrangement. I'll speak to my assistant, and she can make the arrangement. Yes, of course. Yeah, because it's important. Okay, and the reason why it's important is that it affects our children. Like if a woman is, I met a woman from she's 29 years old. She was 29 years old at the time I met her. She had 4 children. Has she been involved in the sex trade at the age of 7?
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
She said, I said, how come?
Wow.
She said that her mom was in the sex trade, then she got involved in the sex trade. She has 4 children,
Mhm.
and I said, and she has never been with her children. She's all the time working because of the economic situation. She has to go abroad, live as a prostitute. I mean, in these brothels. I mean, it's very sad life. Yeah, and because of the economic condition, okay, that caused these women, because remember that women are the most vulnerable section of the population in most countries. Women are not treated equally. So it's so that caused there is a huge debate into the issue with violence against women. So we have to treat not paying women equal work for your pay is a form of violence against women. So all these things should be able to we should really address them. So it's very sad, but that's why we're here trying to correct it, because we have the information.
I would like for us to reach so much people, so at least people could be aware of what's going on, because I have a bit of a knowledge, but what I'm getting today, it just blew my mind. So I wish I can get every group. I'm gonna find group. We're gonna talk to people.
We have groups.
I will, yeah? Okay, so I will call on you. I'll set it up. I'll beg him. I'll bring him back. And then I'll go to different churches. I'll ask them, can I bring him in? He's not going to arrest anybody. We just want to hear. We just want the
Yes.
world to be aware of this is happening. And we know somebody that can speak. We have somebody that is knowledgeable, that is in the field, that knows about it. So just listen, because
Yes.
some of us have our heads in bags.
Yeah,
Like
right, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't, like I know it's happening, but then to sit before you and hear so much is like, oh my God, do we hide our children now? Do we not let them out on the playground? Do we just be there, be more hover parents? I mean, this is high panic. This I don't know, but
Well, I
we're
mean,
gonna have a lot.
I wouldn't say that you should panic. Okay. However, what we realize is that, I mean, when we started the study, for example, when we went on the ground and we started the study, and we brought the idea, because when the European Union, we got the terms of reference, when we try to inform people, we got a lot of resistance. Okay, because people said, we are trying to bring shame and disgrace to the country. You're trying to embarrass them. People trying to, this is not right. We are trying. We are getting into things that we are not supposed to get into, because just raising the idea of human trafficking. If you said that this does not appear in my country, this does not happen in our country, you are lying. It's not true. It's people are very sometimes get upset, but when it's
I mean, I would have get
coming out
upset
now.
too if you come in and say that this is happening
Yes.
in my country, because I would point out all the neighbors here. This is not happening here, right? And then I'll come against you. What kind of thing that's Nancy's story that you're making up? But when I hear Pastor Fletcher Pastor Fleming come in and he started to ask questions, you know about all these things? Like, that's why I run and I call him quick. I say, you have to be here to ask questions.
Yes, and that's why we God, if you look on the report, or if you look took my name, let's say, maybe if you put Justin P or Dr. Justin P, human trafficking, you will see a lot of information, because, as I said, we have one of the largest database. We have done a lot of studies with many international organizations, CNN, and all or most of the large organizations. But because people were not aware of the severity of the issue within the Caribbean region. And our studies, I mean, even though we looked at the Caribbean region, but what made us different is that we looked at the issue of the whole predatory aspect. When we looked at human trafficking, it was done from the victim perspective, but we said that the victims are not to be blamed. Let's look at it from the predatory perspective. Who are the predators? What the predators are doing? Okay, why you become a human trafficker? Who are involved? So we also found out that human trafficking is a family business. Okay, it's a family business, and it's a business that is run by friends and close relatives. Okay, it's one of the fastest growing business. Okay, it is, and it's because it's lucrative, because you can buy a woman. You can buy, let's say in Trinidad, I'll just take an example. You can get, $5,000, $10,000 for a woman. You buy 3 of them. That's $30,000. You bring some of your friends on the weekend. You have bring some of your friends in the weekend. Let's say you cycle her 3-4 times in a month. You make $100,000. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, in a day. So I heard about some of these girls saying they're sleeping with up to 15 men a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
it's a business.
So if you have, for example, if you have 3 women, and let's say let's be conservative, 3 women,
yeah,
and they sleep. Let's say we have a weekend, and 3 of them have relationship with 10 men
for the day.
Yes, so that's 30 interactions.
Yes,
at $1,000 or $500. That's 50.
Yeah.
That's $50.
Even $200.
$200. Look at the amount of money. You do that, okay. And what? Because human trafficking is more profitable than drugs. Well, the reason why it's more profitable than drugs, because when you use these women for 6 months, you could then trade these women to someone else in another
somebody else.
And that's it. It's a business. Remember, these guys said that they are business people. The reason why they're doing it, because there is a demand. Okay, so what we have to look at the demand. Why there is a demand, and we have to work on reducing the demand, and that's our biggest challenge. Okay, and that's why we have to now investigate more data and more research to investigate why people buy sex. And that's the $1 million question. The whole psychology.
Yes, it's just like you have to understand, like I listen, look for a country like Japan, what we do not know and what we do not understand. In Japan, the men there are so fed up with a lot of the women, they don't want to involve in some of the women's feelings. In Japan, you can go to one of these machines, like a vending machine, so you buy a movie, and you can buy a doll, and men are doing it. You buy a doll for the weekend, and you sleep with this silicone doll. They say it feels like a woman. They do not have no commitment with nobody else, nothing. Yeah. So they're going to pay this doll, have her for the weekend. It's just like a woman, feel like a woman. They use her like a woman, and they bring her back the next day. These are even in America. In America right now, if you go on, you can order some of these female parts, female organs on Amazon, and men now get fed up with women. They have this as a means of their quenching their sexual urge. A female part, the butt, and they're living with that now, because they're saying these ladies and them so frustrated. Oh, as soon as you sleep with them, they're pregnant, they want money, they want this. Oh no. I mean, it's an industry right now that's
what we come to.
Yeah, we the church. I mean, we the church, we just preach holiness and righteousness and get along. We don't get into these things and that's why sometimes we the church cannot meet some of these people out there, because we have no ministry to sustain them or to keep them or to literally to do anything. I mean, if one of these women or 5 of these women decide to leave, whoever, the John, the boss, and they come to the church. The church have no place to put them up,
Nowhere.
you know. And it's better for them to stay with the John because they get food, you know, they get a whole lot, they get a place to stay, and some of them maybe get a little change. And
Yes. You know?
You also have the woman as well who does that,
Yes,
Pastor
yes,
Frank.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
have
yeah,
ladies
yeah.
who
And
does the
that's
same
yeah.
thing.
From our experience in
Yeah.
every and almost every incident where we meet and interview traffic person, there's always a woman involved.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Mhm.
yeah,
from the
yeah,
whole profile of these women, some of these women were either abused before. Most of them were abused before.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
had
yeah,
experience. But since that we see that trafficking is a family business. Okay, sometimes the father, brothers, you know, I mean, it's all close friends, you know, gangs or you know, very very close people. So they know each other for at least 3 years, 3 or more years.
I wish the one that's doing it, he must go there and plan to sleep yeah, with the girl, and then when you open the door, then it should be I'm his own daughter. Let me see how he gonna feel.
But you have the mother and the daughter who's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
you remember it's a form of business. So you see it's because of the economic conditions. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's
The
the
mothers
challenge
will
we
take their
face.
daughters.
It's a form of
Um,
yeah.
This is blow this topic today. I know a lot of things, but this blow my mind. And I would just as how I gain knowledge, just as how I get to know something, I want the whole world to know. So I will be talking, I'll be telling people, I will bring people on Zoom. Just come on Zoom. I will have him. Just come. Don't worry about questions. Just come and listen to him talk. There is danger out there.
yes. Well, Sister Tex, we'll have you make the connection for us.
No problem. No problem. If I have to do it in the morning because most people don't have like their 2:30, I'll do it in the morning. If it's at 2:30, I'll do it at 2:30. Then I have a Wednesday night show which is called Heart to Heart, Woman
Right.
of Integrity Being It All with their shirts on. Then we have Heart to Heart, Men Hurt Twice More Than Ladies.
What time is that one? Men
They
hurt
start
twice.
at 9. They start at 9, and in the Caribbean, they come on at 8. So that's their 9. So we start at 9.
Mhm.
I'll bring him back. I'll ask him. I'll listen to me. It's just a phone call away. I will call him for everybody that wants to know. Bring a group, 19 people. We'll talk.
Why 19
Minister
people?
Antoine?
Dr. Perry, just want to ask another question again. Because this is so vast, if you're in your own community or neighborhoods and you hear about it, does that mean that those who are involved in it have a place for these girls to be rescued or these boys? Is that something that they would set up for them to have this announced to our community or wherever you are that there's a safe haven for these individuals?
Yes, I mean, yeah, yeah. In most countries, well, not all most, but what we had done when we did the study, we developed about 43 indicators. Okay, we measure countries in terms of their ability to assist persons who are victimized by human trafficking, and we see, like, for example, the country of Jamaica as one of the best structure in place to for the protection of persons or persons who are victimized. Again, Bahamas, the Barbados and other areas, but Antigua, sorry, and Antigua and Bermuda, but Jamaica is and Trinidad also is very they have good support structures.
So one of our guests is asking, so now what can we do? And the same, yeah, I'm not the same. Let's set up some meetings and have him there. Get people together, call me, yeah, and I'll contact him for everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Veronica.
Yes, I'm trying to connect the dots, right? So I'm thinking about COVID, right? And I'm thinking about the hardships and the shortages with so many things that's in demand for society, for the whole world. So when you say that people are vulnerable due to the economics instability and stuff like that, do you think that situations like COVID could cause the industry to get worse? Or do
Yeah,
you think
yeah. That's it. I mean, because so that's why the incidence of human trafficking, smuggling is increasing because of the economic situation. COVID does not, maybe a dent here and there, but with the human trafficking industry, it really does not affect it that much. It continues unabated. It just continues.
so? That's why I'm wondering about the government. The government is aware of what's going on. They know that people are in hardship right now, and that could cause a person to be more vulnerable. Is there anything that the government is doing to prevent shortages and from people experiencing hardship? I mean, like on a real basis. I know the government pretend to do a lot of things for the people, but in all reality, it's very seldom that it comes down to the community that is affected. So I'm just wondering, what kind of situation that the government is responsible for when it comes down to human trafficking and hardships and
Right.
shortages and stuff.
Well, I mean, there are most countries have human trafficking, anti-trafficking, trafficking in persons legislation. Okay, but sometimes persons may have these legislations on the book and it may not be enacted. But some countries do have systems in place. I mean, obviously, it's not as they're not as resourced as others. However, what we have to do is our mission here is to just sensitize people. If we tell people about it, people will know because if you can involve young people, we know that human trafficking, the desire for sex, because when you have sex with these women, most of these women are trafficked. So when we know that everyone are involved. They are most people are involved. Okay, and it's like a normal way of interaction. We know that married men also, even though they're involved, we have I mean, so it's there. We just have to now work on reducing the demand.
Evangelist Joan?
No, yes, I'm through. I'm good. I'm going to leave soon. I have a next meeting shortly.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say thank you very much, Dr. Justin Pear. I'm looking forward in having the next meeting with you. We have the Tuesday night marriage program. And so I will ask Madam Tex to see when you're available to come on to it. We'll have a Zoom, show to the public so they can come in. We have a lot of questions. The last person who called me 3 weeks ago called me to said there was somebody grabbed after her daughter in Toronto and she had to run. Grab after her, called me, say, let us pray, because they grabbed after her beautiful daughter coming out of her apartment to go to work. She had to run, for rescue. So it's around, it's there.
It's actually there's so many incidents. I interviewed a woman, an immigration officer, and she told me that she said she was in her she stayed by her sister, and during when she said she went out somewhere, and some guy just accidentally hit her bag went on the ground, and she when she went to collect her, but two guys just kept holding her and running away with her, and she had to scream and scream, and someone came and they ran. I mean, it's I mean, listen, it takes very, very, we don't know why. Okay, I'm not a psychologist. We don't know why, but when a woman, I mean, maybe some further studies can be done on that. But when a woman is bombarded by sexual activities for a number of times over a short period of time, somehow she gets numb or insensitive to repeat
Desensitized,
sexual,
yep.
yes, to repeat
Yep.
sexual exploitation. So we don't know, but for most of the incidents that we have seen and investigated, he said how you managed to do it. You were a student, okay? You doing well. How come you would stay 6 months with a guy in a room, don't know that they you have never seen sunlight, just having sex with different men. So how you did that? And they will tell you similar stories. When I went there, I met a friend, we had sex, and then he came in and we had so many sex. So all these men came in. I just felt ashamed. I felt dirty. I felt guilty. I felt unclean. And they just continued over and over and over. And then, he just brought me to this place, and I went to that. And men just came. We don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I do not know this whole psychology behind that. But it's like one of the guys said, he said that, referred to me, he said, like, Dr. Pierre, what we do is that we can break them like a horse. Okay, it's like, and they're funny, He said, yeah, it's a methodology. That's what they do. They'll break them there's a form of breaking them. They break the psychology down. They break who they are as a person. They break the image down by performing these intense sexual routine on them with different men over a short period of time.
Of course.
They have they cannot give consent. They have no defense against 15 men having sex with you in maybe a couple of hours.
My God.
And then in addition, they will also this issue of I'm just going back to the lady from Venezuela. She and 3 of her friends, when they came to the board, they stayed 3 days in the house, and they were just beaten, just naked. All of them were naked. They were just beaten. The guy came, and his job was just to beat them. That's all he did, was just to beat them. When he finished beat them, he wiped up. Then someone came to rape them, and just you do that for 2, 3, 4 days over and over and over and over, and then you can do anything. Anything.
Yeah.
You take them and bring them, stand up by the side of the street or anywhere, and they would not run. They will stay, and whatever you tell them to do, they will do it. We don't know why, but some research should be done on that topic. We don't know why. I mean, our job is not I'm not a psychologist, so I'm a researcher.
Yeah, probably should get a psychologist too with you.
Maybe a psychologist can be, might be a good idea that maybe get a psychologist to kind of explain that, because
yes,
we don't know why. We don't know why someone would do that. And if sometimes you tell them so who is the guy? They don't want anything to happen to him. He's good to me. He's my boyfriend. He was kind to me, give me everything I need. Don't do that to him. Why would the police do that? Why the police so be unkind to him by arresting him?
Of course.
I mean, it's the mind.
They don't know better, I guess. They don't used to anything better than that. That was good for them. And so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much, Dr. Pear.
Yes.
Thank
you very much.
Good night, everyone. Goodbye, and we will meet again. Thank you.
Well,
I also have to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 4:30 now, and we come to the end of this segment. I hope everybody questions was met and answered. I pray that we will have a lot more of this, because I will start calling people from this evening, right now. I'll start calling people, and then I would let him know when, where, or if I have the secretary number, I'll call her. I'll set it up with her. So because this is a lot of information. Can you imagine? You have a lot of people like me in the world that don't know half of these things.
Yeah.
Yes, Sister Tex, a lot of people don't know.
Jesus. Well, we're gonna let everybody know, so everybody can have their guard up, out, and look out for them. And if you're a mother who was there and encouraging your children now to go there, you would also get some mental health, because help it have your memory bank is full and you need to unfile it so you so can get help too mentally. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Pierce, for coming
Thank
in.
you very
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you. And I enjoyed this program. And please, you now are a family of Gemfm.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
Amen.
you. As
Thank
I
you.
said that in our discussion this morning, I realized that we go back a long way, and it was very interesting speaking to you because we have myself and this sister Man Warren. We have similar background. Okay, so
Well, your family in the flesh and family on. So I can
yes,
call your cell phone.
yes, yes,
Hey, this is Man Warren. Come over.
yeah, yeah. So it was a pleasure. As I said, I've known John for over the last year or two because we have done a couple of programs on his show, and as I said that we have some people listen to the show a lot. So I think that what you're doing, the outreach is very good, and you have to you have to be thankful for that. So I want to continue your success, and with whatever I can do to help, please give me a call, and I'll make myself available.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
God
you
bless.
very much. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So we close
Bye.
off this program by saying thank you everybody for coming. And this is Texman Warren on Gemfm. I love you. I do. And see you next week. God
Thank
bless
you.
you
Bye.
guys. Bye-bye. Oh, this was hot today. Phew. Where's Pastor Fleming? Oh, he left. Is he coming back so we can say bye to him? Or we just gonna just stand still until he decides to come back? I call him. I say, you better know that you better come on today. Come on, because there's questions that need to be asked. You better come on, because I'm not joking.
You know,
Pastor Fleming, where he is. We're gonna sign off, and he's gonna be still on, and then he's gonna start hearing shh on his phone or his computer. You know
Ted,
what? Yeah.
I have I should still have it in my archives, a video of a gentleman who tried to take a lady daughter from her in a store in Florida, and it was outrageous, and he wouldn't give up. I'm going to archive and see if I find it, and I'll send it to you or to John.
Yeah, send it to me. Thank you. My God. This, this
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's why it's good to walk. So now I would not be outside past 6 o'clock. I'll come home. I won't stay outside in the dark because I don't know, I'm covered under the blood, but I just gotta be careful now. Be careful when I walk. My God, takes a lift up your head when you're outside in the car. So I'll be careful now. I lift up at my head. I'll be careful of my surrounding. I will really try. So thank you guys. Thank you, Minister Olivet. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Love you guys too. Bye.
Okay.